I am Sanne Bodde, one of the pediatric surgeons in the RadboudUMC hospital, and I'm working together with the ERN to provide training models to all centers, the expertise centers on congenital malformations. And I would like to give you an introduction on our models, which are developed for the training in pediatric surgery. And this is the introduction on the individual use of the models, so outside training workshops. Well, first, why we use training models. This is actually to reduce the learning curve of surgical skills and improve surgical skills. We have shown in previous studies that you can train on a training model and gain your skills fast. So we've done it before with minimal invasive training in adult surgery because that was easier to do, but now also in pediatric surgery, that we saw that if you keep on training your low volume skills, that it improves your skills, and if you don't do it often enough, then you reduce your skills like before you were doing a course. So this is actually why we've developed models for training, and not only for minimal invasive surgery, but actually more for open pediatric surgery, because that's what we do more often, and especially what is done in low volume centers as well. And all procedures that we do, almost all of them, are low volume complex procedures because they're congenital malformations, which are all rare malformations. And this is why we've developed models that are affordable, because that's the most important part, that people can afford to use them so they can train, that they're sustainable so you can reuse them, not once, but with the disposables that we have, you can reuse them easily, and that they're accessible so that you can buy them somewhere and then we can ship them to you. And in this project, Ernica has provided them for the Ernica centers at this stage. Well, we've used these models, especially the ones for the colorectal models are used often already in several courses worldwide, and were perceived as really useful. That's why we went on and developed more models also for CDH and ECMO, and which are used in the current courses as well. Here you can see a video on the use of the models, or actually how it works, because you have a self-assembly kit that's sent to you, and this is the colorectal model where there is a sponge and you put it in, and this is the one with the anorectal malformation with the perineal fistula, and then the trainees can train. This is more a course setting where you can do the hands-on training, and as you can see in the back, there is a poster, because we've developed posters, and I'll show you later, that the steps can be trained on the model. It is not exactly the same as in a clinical setting, because they have to be affordable and accessible. And as you can see here, you can use a tablet, because with most models we have the tablet holder, but you can use it on the side as well, and we have instruction videos. And also you can use it in a home setting, as I do, when preparing for a procedure that hasn't been done before. We also have the laparoscopic trainers as well. I just go on further because it's more of the same. Here you can see the different models that we've developed, and we use validation processes to make sure that the models are accurate and well, they do what they're made for, so for training purposes, and that both trainees and expert pediatric surgeons are happy in using these, and we've validated them with international groups. Well, the next step is online guided training and actually independent training, and that's what we're doing now, because in the courses that we have now started in the COVID period, that we have online options as well, and that worked actually quite well. That as you can see on the screen, part was training in the workshop and part was training at home, and during the training of the hands-on sessions, we were monitoring and supervising from the computer in small groups, and that works. So that's how we know that at-home training is possible. So you can do independent training, and this can also be at home on your own. I'll tell you in the next steps how you can do that. But with supervising in your own center, that's also possible, of course, because then the supervisor can tell how they want the steps done themselves. So you can do it in both ways. We have a YouTube channel, and the link should have worked. Maybe on this one. I'll show you at the end the YouTube channel where we have the different videos. As you can see here, this is a video of how you train on the PSARP model, as you saw in a video before. But we also have the videos how you do it on the CDH model, how you assemble the boxes. We call them boxes, but they're actually the simulation models. So you have the different ones for the colorectal model, where you can use the PSARP sponges and the ASARP, whatever you want to do on your model. So the anorectal malformation models in, or you place the sponge for a transanal resection in for the Hirschsprung babies. You have an ECMO model with the assembly and an instruction video, and the CDH model has an instruction video and the assembly as well. And we will place more videos on this channel, also from clinical videos as well, so you have more guidance, but these should be enough to start. This is the YouTube channel of Pediatrickboxx, and here you can see the videos which can help you through the training with the Pediatrickboxx exercise of the PSARP model, the CDH model, the assembly of the colorectal base, in which you can use either the TURP model or the PSARP model, or ASAP, so the anorectal malformation model. And then you have the ECMO assembly and ECMO training, and also if you go further, you can see the assembly of the open CDH model. Later on, we will add other videos of clinical videos, this video, and we do ask you to be a member of Pediatrickboxx, to subscribe, so you can have them here in your YouTube site, so you can find the videos really easy. Well, as I discussed before, a structured approach is important, and we use posters to do that. So all the procedures are divided in steps, which we've created with an expert panel for each of the procedures. And these are actually the different procedures you can do. We have the PSARP model is just one model, so you can use the poster for the female. Later on, we hope to develop one for the male as well, but that's in progress. And as you can see here, if you take, for example, for the transanal and the rectal pull through, you see on the poster you have the step 1 biopsy of the colon and dissecting mesocolon. You cannot do that on the model, but you can do is start a dissection by placing your sutures and do the first incision just above the dentate line. Then you do your dissection of the rectum, so you make sure you're in the proper layer. There are several layers, so you have to make sure you're in the proper layer. And then you do your anastomosis. And so these are the steps that can be trained on a model. For the PSARP, you can do all the steps you can see here. You can do the sagittal incision. You have to find the rectum and find the fistula. Then dissect a rectum. To be honest, dissection on the models is not lifelike. but that's too difficult to simulate properly, and especially if you want to do it in an affordable manner. So that's why we focus on the structured approach, because that's most important, to have a structured approach, that you know what the steps are and you don't have to think of the steps when you're doing the procedure. But still, you have to learn the dissection in a clinical setting, because you can never do that lifelike, not even on an animal model. That's still not the same, because we have compared these before. But especially for the reconstruction and the anoplasty, you can do that in a structured manner on the model, which is really important for future continence. And this is the same in a CDH model, where we do have more different approaches, because when we made these posters with the international experts, several methods were used already for the incision. You can do subcostal incision. We actually changed the poster into an incision, because you can do it in a midline or a transverse. So we put that all on the poster as good as possible, but just discussed with the trainees, or as trainees with your supervisor, which method you are using in your center, so you can train that method. And the reduction of the organs, you can do that, but then you have to place the organs in yourself. For the ECMO model, you can do the steps again as stated on the poster. You can do the skin incision, the dissection, and the preparation, which of course are not the same. You can still do them. Just look at the video how to prepare it properly. And you can insert the cannulas. We provide cannulas, which are actually the female catheters, but you can use your own cannulas as well if you have some spare. Just make sure that the sizes are correct, because the holes of the model are suited to the catheters that we provide. So you have some resistance there. So don't put in cannulas that are too large. You can connect it to a system, but then you have to keep the flow really low to have the circular flow. Just make sure how it works. And with the ECMO model, don't forget, you can get wet if you don't have proper tension and you don't prepare them good enough. So make sure you're somewhere that it can be wet. An extra thing that we found that is important in training of skills is the assessment of skills, and not only expert assessment, that you have a supervisor, but also self and peer assessment, because we found that there is definitely an additive value, and actually there are significant improvements in those that use self and peer assessment. We've developed these kind of assessment forms for the different procedures that we've provided the models for, and these are developed with an expert panel, as in the posters, and match the steps in the posters that you can do on the model. As you can see, for example, for the PSARP on the model, you can do the different steps, and then you have extra guidance, what is good and what is not. For example, the traction sutures on the fistula, if you've placed them in the wrong edge, or that is too close to the border, or you have too much skin, then they can see what we actually look at. And again, make sure that it is compatible to your own setting, but this is how we do it in our courses. And you can also use these forms in the clinical setting if you want to see if there's a difference after training on a model, if they do it better in the clinic. Or you can say that they have to do it properly while using these forms as an expert to see if they've trained enough. And for all the steps in the procedures, we have these forms, and we'll send them to you. And we'll also send them, we can also send them by email, but we also have them in the package that you will receive together with the posters. For those who have the models as an ERNICA initiative, ERNICA has provided each member or affiliated partner hospital with the opportunity to receive the colorectal model with 10 disposables for the ERN with the perineal fistula, and 10 disposable bases for the TURBT, which are actually in the same colorectal base. So you have one of these sponges that you saw in the video, and you place them in and see which one you want to use. The CDH is a different model where you can do an open repair. We have enough for at least 10 times an open or primary or patch repair. We just did it wrong on the slide, but we also provide fabric pieces which you can use as a patch, but you can also use your own patch. If you have one spare, you can reuse that patch as well, of course. And for those who do ECMO, you can have an ECMO cannulation model as well, and you can cannulate at least 10 times. And we provide a disposable, the instruments, and the sutures. And if you need more, just let Ernika know, or let us know to send more disposables to you. Either the disposables themselves, the sutures, just let us know. What we ask of you is to provide or to complete the service that we provide in the package. For each trainee and the supervisor that is watching it, if there's a supervisor watching it, because it's not obligatory, please complete the survey so we know what your opinion is on the models and how often they are used actually. And we also send additional surveys that are general surveys on how often it is used. So the different surveys that we send after about 6 and 12 months to the contact person to complete, to see if there is actually an additive value and if the models are used or not. So success in the use of our models, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us using email or on the website of Pediatrickboxx through Ernika. Just send us a message.